The rain fell like needles against her skin, each drop a cruel reminder of how far she had fallen. Sophia clutched her swollen belly with trembling hands, her back pressed against the cold brick wall of an abandoned building in the darkest part of Seoul. Blood mixed with rainwater trailed down her legs as another contraction ripped through her body, stealing the air from her lungs. She screamed, but the storm swallowed her voice whole. Abandoned. Betrayed. Left to die on Christmas Eve by the man who had promised to love her forever. Her vision blurred as she saw headlights approaching through the rain. A sleek black car. She pushed herself forward, stumbling into the middle of the street, waving her arms desperately. The car screeched to a halt inches from her body. Through the windshield, she locked eyes with the most terrifying man she had ever seen. His jaw was sharp enough to cut glass, his eyes cold and calculating, and a jagged scar ran from his left eyebrow down to his cheekbone. He stepped out of the car slowly, his expensive black coat billowing in the wind, completely unbothered by the rain soaking through his clothes. Two massive men emerged from behind him, their hands reaching inside their jackets for weapons. But Sophia was beyond fear. Another contraction hit her, and she collapsed to her knees on the wet asphalt. She looked up at him with tears streaming down her face and whispered the words that would change both their lives forever. "Please, can you take me to the hospital? My baby is coming." He stared at her for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Behind him, one of his men spoke in rapid Korean, his tone urgent and dismissive. But the man in the expensive coat raised a single hand, and silence fell immediately. He crouched down in front of her, and for the first time, Sophia saw something flicker in those cold eyes. Something that looked almost like recognition of her pain. "What is your name?" he asked, his voice deep and commanding. "Sophia," she gasped, gripping her stomach as another wave of agony washed over her. "Please, I don't have anyone. He left me. He took everything and left me to die." The man's jaw tightened. Without a word, he scooped her up in his arms as if she weighed nothing at all. She cried out in surprise, her hands instinctively gripping his broad shoulders. He carried her to his car and placed her gently in the back seat. He turned to his men and spoke in Korean, his tone brooking no argument. They nodded and disappeared into the night. Then he slid into the driver's seat himself, something that clearly surprised his subordinates. "The hospital is 20 minutes away," he said, glancing at her through the rearview mirror. "Can you hold on?" Sophia shook her head frantically. "Something's wrong. The baby, it's coming now. I can feel it." He cursed under his breath and made a sharp turn, the car speeding through the empty streets of Seoul. Sophia's screams filled the vehicle as the contractions came faster and more intense. He pulled out his phone and made a call, speaking rapidly in Korean before hanging up. "I'm taking you somewhere safe," he said. "My personal physician will meet us there." "Why are you helping me?" Sophia managed to ask between contractions. "You don't even know me." He met her eyes in the mirror, and for a moment, his mask slipped. "Because I know what it's like to be left to die by someone who was supposed to protect you." Before Sophia could respond, the car pulled into an underground garage beneath a towering glass building. He lifted her out of the car and carried her to a private elevator. As the doors closed, Sophia noticed the intricate tattoo that peeked out from under his collar. Dragons intertwined with flames. She had seen enough Korean dramas to know what that meant. Her heart should have been racing with fear, but instead, she felt an inexplicable sense of safety in his arms. The elevator opened to reveal a penthouse that looked like something out of a magazine. A woman in a white coat was already waiting, medical equipment laid out on the pristine marble floor. "Put her here," the doctor commanded, and the man obeyed without hesitation. What followed was the most agonizing 2 hours of Sophia's life. She screamed until her throat was raw, pushing with every ounce of strength she had left. And through it all, he stayed. He held her hand when she reached for something to anchor herself to. He wiped the sweat from her forehead when she thought she couldn't go on. He whispered words of encouragement in a mix of Korean and English until finally, a baby's cry pierced the air. "It's a girl," the doctor announced, placing the tiny, perfect creature on Sophia's chest. Sophia sobbed, clutching her daughter close, overwhelmed by a love so fierce it threatened to consume her. She looked up at the man who had saved them both, and through her tears, she smiled. "Thank you," she whispered. "I don't even know your name." He stared at her for a long moment, something shifting in his expression. Finally, he spoke. "My name is Kang Jaiwan. And you are now under my protection. Hello lovelies, happy holidays to everyone watching right now, and I wish you the very best in the new year. I am so grateful that you chose to spend part of your celebration with me and this story. Whether you are watching this with family, friends, or enjoying some peaceful alone time, I hope this season brings you nothing but joy and love. Now, let's continue this incredible journey together, because trust me, things are about to get intense." 3 weeks passed, and Sophia found herself living a life she could never have imagined. Jaiwan had given her an entire wing of his penthouse, complete with a nursery for baby Hope, named for the feeling that had filled Sophia's heart the moment she held her daughter. Servants attended to her every need. She wanted for nothing. But she was not naive. She had seen the men who came and went at all hours. She had heard the hushed conversations that stopped the moment she entered a room. She knew exactly who Kang Jaiwan was. The Crimson Dragon. Head of the most powerful mafia organization in South Korea. Yet he had never been anything but gentle with her. He checked on her daily, his visits growing longer each time. He held Hope with a tenderness that seemed impossible for a man of his reputation. And sometimes, Sophia caught him looking at her in a way that made her breath catch in her throat. One evening, she found him on the rooftop terrace, staring out at the glittering Seoul skyline. She approached quietly, but he sensed her presence immediately. "You should be resting," he said without turning around. "I couldn't sleep," Sophia admitted, coming to stand beside him. "I keep thinking about everything that happened. About how I ended up here." Jaiwan turned to face her, his expression curious. "Tell me about him. The man who abandoned you." Sophia's hands clenched at her sides. "His name is Marcus. We were together for 3 years. I gave up everything for him. My family in Ghana, my education, my dreams. I followed him to Seoul because he said he had a business opportunity here." She laughed bitterly. The business opportunity was another woman. A Korean heiress whose family could advance his career. Jaiwan's jaw tightened. "Where is he now?" "I don't know. The last time I saw him, he was throwing my belongings out of our apartment. He told me the baby wasn't his, even though we both knew the truth. He said no one would believe a poor African woman over him." Sophia wiped away a tear that escaped down her cheek. "I had nothing. No money, no friends, nowhere to go. I was on the street for 2 weeks before that night." 2 weeks. Jaiwan's voice was dangerously low. "You were on the street, pregnant, for 2 weeks." Sophia nodded, unable to meet his eyes. The silence that followed was heavy. When Jaiwan finally spoke, his voice was ice. "What is his full name?" "Marcus Thompson. But please, I don't want any trouble. I just want to forget and move on with my life." Jaiwan stepped closer, and Sophia's heart raced as he lifted her chin gently, forcing her to meet his gaze. "Some debts must be paid, Sophia. This man hurt you. He left you and your child to die. In my world, that cannot go unpunished." "Your world is dangerous," Sophia whispered. "I don't belong in it." Something flickered in his eyes. "Perhaps not. But you are here now. And I find myself, unwilling to let you go." The tension between them was electric. Sophia knew she should step back, should maintain the careful distance she had been trying to keep. But there was something about this man that drew her in like a moth to flame. Before either of them could act on the moment, the rooftop door burst open, and one of Jaiwan's men rushed toward them. "Boss, we have a problem. The Kim family is making moves. They hit one of our warehouses tonight." Jaiwan's entire demeanor changed in an instant. The warmth she had glimpsed vanished, replaced by cold, lethal focus. He turned to Sophia with an expression that made her shiver. "Go inside and lock the door. Do not open it for anyone except me. Jaiwan, what's happening? Nothing you need to worry about. I will handle it. He was gone before she could protest, disappearing into the night with his men. Sophia stood on the terrace alone, her heart pounding with fear and something else she couldn't quite name. She had known from the beginning that he was dangerous. But she was only now beginning to understand just how deep that danger ran. The days that followed were tense. Jaiwan was barely around, consumed by whatever conflict was brewing in his world. Sophia found herself missing his presence more than she wanted to admit. She spent her time caring for Hope and exploring the parts of the penthouse she was allowed to access. It was during one of these explorations that she met someone who would change everything. You must be the woman everyone is talking about. Sophia spun around to find a beautiful Korean woman standing in the doorway of the library. She was dressed impeccably, her makeup perfect, her expression sharp and assessing. I'm sorry, I didn't know anyone else was here, Sophia said, clutching Hope closer to her chest. The woman's eyes dropped to the baby, and something cold passed through them. I am Kang Minji. Jaiwan's sister. Oh, it's nice to meet you. Jaiwan has been very kind to me and my daughter. Minji's lips curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Yes, my brother has always had a weakness for strays. But don't get too comfortable. Women like you come and go in this house. You are not the first, and you certainly won't be the last. The words hit Sophia like a slap. She straightened her spine, refusing to show how much the comment hurt. I'm not trying to be anything to your brother. He helped me when I had no one else. That's all. Minji laughed, a brittle sound. Is that what you tell yourself? I've seen the way you look at him. But let me make something clear. She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a venomous whisper. Jaiwan is destined for great things. An alliance with the Park family is already being negotiated. Do you really think he would throw all of that away for a penniless foreigner with another man's child? Before Sophia could respond, another voice cut through the tension like a blade. Minji. Both women turned to find Jaiwan standing in the doorway, his expression thunderous. Minji's confident facade cracked for just a moment before she composed herself. Brother, I was just welcoming your guest. I heard what you said. Jaiwan's voice was quiet, but it carried the weight of a death sentence. We will discuss this later. Leave. Now. Minji's eyes flashed with anger, but she knew better than to argue. She shot Sophia one last venomous look before sweeping out of the room. Jaiwan turned to Sophia, his expression softening. I'm sorry you had to hear that. Sophia shook her head, blinking back tears. Is it true? Is there an arranged marriage? Jaiwan was silent for a long moment. There are expectations that come with my position. Alliances that need to be maintained. So yes, Sophia's voice was barely a whisper. You should have told me. I should have, he agreed. But I have not agreed to anything. The negotiations have stalled because I refuse to commit. Why? He crossed the room until he was standing directly in front of her. He reached out and brushed a strand of hair from her face, his touch impossibly gentle. Because I cannot stop thinking about you. From the moment I saw you in that rain, something changed. I have spent my entire life building walls, protecting myself from weakness. And then you appeared, and suddenly those walls mean nothing. Sophia's heart was racing. This is dangerous. Your sister is right. I don't belong in your world. Then I will change my world, Jaiwan said fiercely. I will tear it down and rebuild it if that's what it takes. You can't. Your family, your organization, are nothing compared to what I feel when I look at you. He kissed her then, and Sophia felt everything fall away. The fear, the doubt, the voices telling her she wasn't enough. In his arms, she was safe. She was wanted. She was home. If you are enjoying this story so far, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next because things are about to take a very dramatic turn. The following weeks were the happiest of Sophia's life. She and Jaiwan grew closer, their relationship deepening into something neither of them could deny. He introduced her to his world properly, teaching her the traditions and customs that governed his life. She met his inner circle, earned their respect through her kindness and quiet strength. Even Hope seemed to recognize him, reaching for him with chubby hands whenever he entered the room. But happiness in the world of the Crimson Dragon was always fragile. It started with small things. Sophia began to notice that she was being followed whenever she left the penthouse. At first, she assumed it was Jaiwan's men, assigned to protect her. But their movements were different. Threatening. She mentioned it to Jaiwan, who immediately increased her security. Then came the letters. Anonymous notes slipped under her door, each one more disturbing than the last. You don't belong here. He will never choose you. Leave before it's too late. Jaiwan was furious when he discovered them. He launched an investigation, determined to find the source. But before he could uncover the truth, everything exploded. It was a Tuesday evening when Marcus walked back into her life. Sophia was in the nursery with Hope when one of Jaiwan's men appeared in the doorway, his expression tense. There's someone here to see you. He says he's the father of your child. Sophia's blood ran cold. What? No. Tell him to leave. He's refusing. And he has papers. Legal documents claiming custody rights. Her legs nearly gave out beneath her. She handed Hope to her nanny and walked to the main living area on trembling legs. There he was. Marcus Thompson. Looking just as handsome and just as cruel as the day he threw her onto the street. Hello, Sophia, he said with a smile that made her skin crawl. Miss me? What are you doing here? How did you find me? Oh, finding you was easy. You've been all over the news, you know. The mysterious woman living with Kang Jaiwan. Everyone is talking about it. He circled her like a predator assessing prey. I have to admit, I'm impressed. I never thought you had it in you to catch a fish this big. Get out, Sophia hissed. You have no right to be here. Actually, I have every right. He waved the papers in his hand. I'm Hope's father. Which means I have paternal rights. And I'm here to claim them. You abandoned us. You left us to die on the street. That's your version of events. Marcus shrugged. My lawyers have a different story. One about a hysterical woman who ran away when our relationship ended. One about a father desperately searching for his missing child. Sophia was shaking with rage. No one will believe that. Won't they? I'm a respectable businessman. You're, well, what are you exactly? A homeless woman who somehow ended up in a mob boss's bed. He leaned closer, his breath hot on her face. The courts might have some questions about that. Before Sophia could respond, the door slammed open, and Jaiwan strode in. His expression was murderous, his men flanking him on either side. Marcus actually took a step back, his smug confidence wavering for the first time. You must be the man who left the mother of his child to die in the rain, Jaiwan said, his voice terrifyingly calm. Marcus recovered quickly, straightening his tie with practiced ease. I must be the man whose parental rights you're interfering with. I wonder what the authorities would think about that. The authorities in this city answer to me. Maybe. But public opinion is a different matter. Marcus smiled. I've already contacted the press. By tomorrow, everyone will know that the notorious Kang Jaiwan is holding a child hostage, preventing a loving father from reuniting with his daughter. Jaiwan's hands clenched into fists, but he remained still. What do you want? What I've always wanted. Money. Power. Opportunity. Marcus's mask of civility slipped, revealing the greed beneath. 200 million won, and I'll disappear. I'll sign over all parental rights. You'll never hear from me again. You're blackmailing me. I prefer to think of it as negotiating. The room was thick with tension. Sophia looked between the two men, her heart breaking. This was her fault. She had brought this chaos into Jaiwan's life. I'll give you 48 hours to get me the money, Marcus said, heading for the door. After that, I go to the press. And trust me, they'll eat this story alive. He was gone before anyone could stop him. Sophia collapsed onto the sofa, tears streaming down her face. Jaiwan was at her side in an instant, pulling her into his arms. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. This is all my fault. I should never have stayed. I should have left the moment I could walk. Stop. His voice was firm but gentle. You are not to blame for his actions. He is the one who abandoned you. He is the one who is now trying to extort money. None of this is your fault. But what are we going to do? If he goes to the press. He won't. Something in Jaiwan's tone made her look up. His expression was dark, dangerous. Jaiwan, what are you going to do? What I should have done the moment I learned his name. He stood, his jaw set with determination. I'm going to end this. Permanently. Wait, please, Sophia grabbed his hand. I don't want anyone to get hurt. Not even him. Please, promise me you won't do anything you can't take back. Jaiwan looked at her for a long moment, conflict raging in his eyes. Finally, he brought her hand to his lips and kissed it softly. I promise you, no harm will come to him that he hasn't earned. He cupped her face in his hands. But I will not let him threaten you or Hope. I will not let him destroy what we have built. Do you trust me? Sophia searched his eyes and found nothing but sincerity. I trust you. Then let me handle this. Stay here with Hope. Keep your doors locked and don't speak to anyone until I return. He was gone before she could argue. The next 48 hours were the longest of Sophia's life. She barely slept, barely ate, consumed by worry about what was happening in the outside world. Hope seemed to sense her mother's distress and was fussier than usual. The nanny did her best to help, but Sophia couldn't let her daughter out of her sight. On the second night, the door to the penthouse finally opened, and Jaiwan walked in. He looked exhausted, his suit rumpled, dark circles under his eyes. But he was smiling. It's done, he said. He's gone. Sophia flew into his arms. What happened? What did you do? I did exactly what you asked. I didn't hurt him. Jaiwan led her to the sofa and sat down beside her. But I did destroy him. I found evidence that his business dealings are far from legitimate. Tax evasion, embezzlement, fraud. I gave everything to the authorities. He's being arrested. As we speak. And that's not all. Jaiwan pulled out a document and handed it to her. This is a legal declaration surrendering all parental rights to Hope. He signed it willingly. Sophia stared at the paper in disbelief. Why would he sign this? Because the alternative was far worse. Jaiwan's expression darkened. I gave him a choice. Sign the papers and face only the legal consequences of his crimes, or refuse and face me. And he chose to sign. He's a coward. He always was. Men like him prey on the vulnerable because they're too weak to face anyone who can fight back. Jaiwan took her hands in his. He will never hurt you again. I swear it. Sophia threw her arms around him, holding him as tightly as she could. Thank you. Thank you for everything. They held each other for a long time, the weight of the past weeks finally lifting from their shoulders. When they finally pulled apart, Jaiwan looked at her with an intensity that made her heart race. There's something I need to tell you, he said. Something I should have said a long time ago. What is it? I love you, Sophia. I love you in a way I never thought I was capable of. You and Hope have become my entire world. And I know my life is complicated. I know there are dangers and challenges that won't go away. But I want to face them with you. I want to build a future with you. If you'll have me. Tears streamed down Sophia's face, but for the first time, they were tears of pure joy. I love you too, Jaiwan. I've been trying so hard not to, because I was scared. Scared of being hurt again, scared of your world, scared of not being enough. But I can't fight it anymore. You saved me in more ways than you know. He kissed her then, deeply and passionately, pouring all of his love and devotion into that single moment. And Sophia knew with complete certainty that she was exactly where she was meant to be. But if you think the story ends there, you are in for a surprise. Because someone else had been watching. Someone who would not accept this love so easily. And they were about to make their move. If you want to know what happens next, drop a comment below telling me what you think is coming. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button right now because you don't want to miss part 2 of this incredible story. The weeks that followed were blissful. Jaiwan formally announced his relationship with Sophia to his inner circle, and while the reaction was mixed, those who mattered most accepted her with open arms. His most trusted lieutenant, a man named Park Sung-hoon, became like a brother to her. He taught her Korean, introduced her to his wife and children, and made her feel like part of the family. But not everyone was pleased. Minji's hatred had only grown since their first encounter. She made snide comments whenever she saw Sophia, and went out of her way to undermine her at every turn. But she was careful to never cross the line in Jaiwan's presence, maintaining a facade of reluctant acceptance. Then came the night of the annual gathering. Every year, the heads of the most powerful families in Seoul's underworld came together for a single night of peace. Alliances were discussed, disputes were settled, and the balance of power was carefully maintained. It was the most important event on the calendar, and Jaiwan was expected to attend with a partner. "I want you to come with me," he said one evening, his expression serious. Sophia's heart skipped a beat. "Are you sure? Won't that cause problems? There will always be those who disapprove. But I am done hiding. I want the world to know that you are mine, and I am yours." Sophia took a deep breath and nodded. "Then I'll be there." The night of the gathering arrived, and Sophia had never felt more nervous in her life. She stood in front of the mirror, dressed in a stunning black gown that Jaiwan had commissioned just for her. Her hair was styled in elegant braids, and she wore a necklace that had belonged to Jaiwan's mother, a gift that had brought tears to her eyes when he presented it. "You look beautiful," Jaiwan said from the doorway, his eyes drinking her in. "I'm terrified," she admitted. "Don't be. I will be with you every moment. And anyone who disrespects you will answer to me." They arrived at the venue, a grand mansion in the hills outside Seoul, and Sophia felt like she had stepped into another world. The elite of the underworld were gathered in all their finery, power and wealth radiating from every corner. Conversation stopped as she and Jaiwan entered, and Sophia felt the weight of countless eyes upon her. But she held her head high. She had survived too much to be intimidated by stares. The evening proceeded smoothly, or so it seemed. Jaiwan introduced her to the other leaders, and while some were cold, others were surprisingly welcoming. One woman in particular, the head of the Lee family, took Sophia aside and spoke to her warmly. "You have a strength about you that I recognize," the woman said. "This world will try to break you. Don't let it." "I won't," Sophia promised. It was near midnight when everything went wrong. Sophia had stepped away to use the restroom when she was cornered by 3 women she didn't recognize. They blocked her path, their expressions cruel and mocking. "So you're the African woman who thinks she can become one of us," one of them sneered. "How pathetic." "Please excuse me," Sophia said calmly, trying to step around them. They didn't move. "You don't belong here," another one said. "You're an embarrassment. A stain on Jaiwan's reputation. Do you think he actually loves you?" the third woman laughed. "You're just a plaything. A novelty. When he gets bored, he'll throw you away just like your precious Marcus did." Sophia's calm facade cracked. "You don't know anything about me. We know enough. We know you were homeless. We know you had a baby by another man. We know you're nothing but a gold digger who got lucky." Before Sophia could respond, a voice cut through the hallway like a whip. "Step away from her. Now." The women turned to find Minji standing behind them, her expression unreadable. For a moment, Sophia thought she was hallucinating. "Lady Kong, we were just," one of the women started. "I know exactly what you were doing. And if you don't want me to inform your family heads about your behavior, you will disappear immediately. The women practically fell over themselves to comply, scattering like cockroaches exposed to light. When they were gone, Minji turned to Sophia with an expression she couldn't read. Surprised? Minji asked. Yes, Sophia admitted. Why did you help me? Minji was quiet for a long moment. Because I was wrong about you. What? I thought you were like the others. The women who throw themselves at my brother for his money and power. I thought you would use him and leave when things got difficult. Minji's voice softened. But I've been watching you. I saw how you stayed by his side during the conflict with the Kim family. I saw how you handled Marcus without falling apart. I saw how you love my brother, not for what he can give you, but for who he is. Minji. I'm not saying we're going to be best friends, Minji continued, a hint of her old sharpness returning. But I was wrong to treat you the way I did. And a Kong admits when she is wrong. She extended her hand. Truce. Sophia took her hand without hesitation. Truce. When they returned to the main hall together, Jaiwan's eyebrows nearly hit his hairline. But Sophia just smiled and took his arm, and for the rest of the evening, she felt like she could conquer the world. But the night was not done with its surprises. As the gathering was winding down, a commotion erupted near the entrance. Shouts and the sound of breaking glass shattered the elegant atmosphere. Jaiwan immediately pushed Sophia behind him, his men materializing from the shadows. A group of masked men burst into the hall, weapons drawn. The guests screamed and scattered as the attackers moved with deadly precision. Sophia watched in horror as they cut through the crowd, heading directly toward her and Jaiwan. Get her out of here, Jaiwan ordered his men. No, Sophia grabbed his arm. I'm not leaving you. This isn't a discussion. You're right. It's not. She looked at him with fierce determination. Wherever you go, I go. That's what partners do. There was no time to argue. The attackers were upon them. What followed was chaos. Jaiwan fought with a deadly grace that Sophia had never witnessed, taking down assailant after assailant. His men formed a protective circle around her, but the attackers were relentless. Then she saw him. One of the masked men, breaking through the line, his weapon aimed directly at Jaiwan's back. Without thinking, Sophia grabbed a heavy candlestick from a nearby table and swung with all her might. The metal connected with the attacker's head, and he crumpled to the ground. Jaiwan spun around, eyes wide with shock and something else. Pride, perhaps. Or maybe it was love. I thought I told you to stay behind me, he said. I thought I told you I'm not going anywhere, she shot back. The fight ended as quickly as it began. The remaining attackers were subdued or fled, and the chaos slowly settled. As Jaiwan helped Sophia navigate through the destruction, one of his men approached with a grim expression. Boss, we captured one of them. He's talking. And? The man hesitated. He says they were sent by the Park family. They're claiming you broke the alliance agreement. Jaiwan's expression turned to stone. The arranged marriage. Yes. Park Seo-jun is claiming that you dishonored his sister by publicly choosing a foreigner over her. He's demanding retribution. Sophia's heart sank. This was exactly what she had feared. Her presence in Jaiwan's life was putting everything at risk. Jaiwan, maybe I should. Don't. His voice was sharp but not unkind. Don't even think about leaving. We will face this together, just like we face everything. He turned to his man. Gather the council. It's time to end this. The days that followed were tense beyond measure. Jaiwan was in meeting after meeting, working to navigate the political minefield that the attack had created. Sophia threw herself into caring for Hope, trying not to worry about things she couldn't control. But the worry was constant. It was Sung-hoon who finally gave her answers. The Park family is powerful, but they made a mistake by attacking during the gathering, he explained. That violated the peace agreement that everyone relies on. The other families are not pleased. So they're on Jaiwan's side. It's complicated. But yes, the tide is turning. Park Seo-joon overplayed his hand. Now he's scrambling to save face. Hope flickered in Sophia's chest. Does that mean this will end soon? If Jaewon plays his cards right, yes. But there's one more thing you should know. Sung-hoon's expression grew serious. The Park family is demanding a meeting. Face to face. And they specifically requested that you be present. Me? Why? They want to humiliate you. To prove that you're not worthy of standing beside a man like Jaewon. Sung-hoon's jaw tightened. But I know you, Sophia. I've seen your strength. I believe you can face them and win. The meeting was set for 3 days later. Sophia spent every waking moment preparing. She studied Korean customs, practiced her responses to every possible insult, and steeled herself for the confrontation ahead. Jaewon tried to reassure her, but she could see the tension in his shoulders, the worry in his eyes. On the day of the meeting, they arrived at a neutral location, a traditional Korean estate in the countryside. The Park family was already waiting. Park Seo-joon was a tall, imposing man with cold eyes and a cruel mouth. Beside him sat his sister, Park Yuna, the woman Jaewon was supposed to marry. She was beautiful in a sharp, calculated way, and she looked at Sophia with undisguised contempt. So this is the woman who stole my future husband, Yuna said, her voice dripping with disdain. I expected more. Sophia kept her expression neutral. With respect, you cannot steal something that was never truly offered. A murmur ran through the assembled witnesses. Yuna's eyes flashed with anger. How dare you speak to me that way? Do you have any idea who I am? I know exactly who you are. And I know that your value to your family lies in what you can bring through marriage, not in who you are as a person. That's not my fault. That's your family's failure. The room went silent. Even Jaewon looked stunned. Seo-joon rose from his seat, his face dark with rage. You will not disrespect my family in this way. Then stop disrespecting mine. Sophia stood her ground. You sent armed men to attack innocent people. You violated the peace that keeps your world from descending into chaos. And you did it all because your pride was wounded. She stepped forward, her voice steady and clear. I did not choose to fall in love with Jaewon. I did not scheme or manipulate. I was dying in the rain, and he saved me. Everything that followed came from that single act of kindness. She looked around the room at the gathered family heads. I know I am different. I know I don't look like you, I don't come from your world, I don't have your history. But I am not ashamed of who I am. I am a woman who has survived abandonment, betrayal, and childbirth on a stranger's floor. I have faced every challenge with my head held high. And I will not apologize for loving a man who sees my worth when so many others refuse to. The silence stretched on. Then, slowly, the head of the Lee family began to clap. Others joined in. Not everyone, but enough. Enough to shift the balance of power in that room. Seo-joon looked around in disbelief as his support crumbled. He opened his mouth to speak, but Jaewon cut him off. This ends now, Jaewon said, his voice commanding. You attacked my family. You endangered innocent lives. By the laws that govern us all, you have forced